All right, looks like we're live.
Awesome.
What's up, everybody? Happy, what is it, Tuesday?
Yeah, happy Tuesday, June 10th. One more week until my birthday. I'm turning the big 40.
Ooh, happy early birthday. You got any plans?
Yeah, I'm gonna be done my diet on that day. So I've been doing the 75 hard challenge and I'm tired of this ketovore diet. So I'm ready to put in some serious carb time and eat all the carbs and sugar I want next week. So that's what I've got planned.
Nice, man. Have you felt like mental clarity cutting out the carbs?
I sleep really well now. I just sleep consistently. I wake up with a lot more energy. Then again, I'm also taping my mouth to sleep, which has made a big difference. But yeah, I don't get these dips in the middle of the day.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I do feel that. I can stay up a lot longer nowadays too. So it's been good.
Yeah. Yeah. Carbs really mess with me. I
I
keep
love carbs though, man. I can't.
falling asleep after lunch.
Life without carbs, I don't know if I can do that.
Yeah. That's a rough life. Guys, write in the comments where you're tuning in from.
I'm always curious.
Also, let us know how this series has been for you guys so far. Hopefully, we've gotten some good information conveyed to you guys. Hopefully, you guys are implementing and making some
Yeah.
changes in your
We had some
business.
really good engagement last week too, so it was great to see that.
Awesome. Argentina, all right.
Wow.
Ari, Oklahoma, Poland. AJ just asked, are you still coaching for Leah? Yes, I am. I'll actually be doing our Wednesday coaching call tomorrow for Leah. So yes, I am still involved. We just had
Oh,
a Lona, and we just finished that up. That was Thursday and Friday at the office, and then also at the land house. So that was good stuff. It was really good seeing a lot of you. I'm sure a few of you from the event are in this live feed right now. So appreciate you all. That was an amazing event. It was great finally getting to meet a lot of you, and yeah, some good networking done at that event. So appreciate you all for coming out. But today, Jesse and I are going to be going over basically acquisitions and disposition strategy that is effective, especially in 2025. I think what you got away with in 2022 and 2023, it's just not working anymore. You need to be more organized. You need to be more streamlined. And you need to make sure you're being effective and utilizing all the possible strategies in this land business. There's a ton in acquisitions, there's a ton in dispositions, and we're going to connect the dots in this video. So if you guys have questions on anything we're talking about, feel free to pop it in the chat, and we're happy to work that out. But I'm going to try to go slow and really explain what's working and what I'm commonly seeing as an issue for a lot of these people in the business, maybe that are new or maybe that had some success in 2022, 2023, and now they're kind of hitting a dip this year. So I'm first going to start off with obviously CRM, organization. A lot of you guys are still operating a CRM that hasn't been customized to yourself. You haven't really figured out what your follow-up procedures are. You're just getting a call from somebody from your mailer and you're taking their word and saying, they're saying, give me a call next week, give me a call next month. And then you just set up a reminder next week or next month to reach out to them. When in reality, you should be doing a lot of points of contact in the middle. Even if they said, reach out to me in a month, you should still send them a text message at some point. You should just give a call to them just to make sure they're still thinking about you and they haven't lost your name or haven't forgot about you at all. So CRM is very important. I'm also going to go over contract strategies. So I'm going to go over not only flipping, I'm going to go over seller finance, I'm going to go over double closing and assignments. So these are 4 different strategies that you can easily implement in your business that if you aren't doing any of those, you could get tons more deals, maybe a 30% increase in deals from implementation in your first year of doing these. So I'll go over those, and then I'll go over our disposition strategy and what's working for us. That's a little simpler, but there's a couple things on the back end that you can do to be effective with your dispo strategy. So let's start with acquisitions. So a common issue a lot of people are having in this business currently is pricing. Values of land have not changed much over the last 2 to 3 years. I've seen consistently values kind of just stay flat. In most counties, our business, we're involved in hundreds of counties in the US. And in reality, when you look at the pricing, things haven't changed much in the last 3 years. And what that means is people are getting tons of offers in relation to that value. And a lot of those offers, they're high. So people start to begin to think that, hey, my land is worth market value, because people will mess up. A lot of these land investors will mess up and send an offer too high. So, I mean, one acquisition strategy to avoid that is obviously try to work in markets nobody else is working in. There's still high demand, but they're a little harder to identify. Maybe there's not as much population. Maybe you use land insights to find high demand from days on market or high demand from pending sell-through rate, a way nobody else is really strategizing to do. So that's one way to avoid that. But at the end of the day, you guys are going to end up in these situations where, especially in 2025, sellers think the value of their land is very high. And don't be steered away from that. You just need to have a different strategy going into it. And that strategy is going to be involving those 4 different strategies in your tool belt. So cash flips, which you guys are used to, double closes, seller financing, assigning. Okay. So double closing and assignments allow you to do very low margin deals that still might be very profitable for you. So let's say, for example, the land is worth $200,070. There's still profit on the table. I wouldn't say it's like 170 to 200 is a great profit. You might end up with like around $12,000 to $18,000 at the end of the day after closing costs and realtor commissions. But if you just negotiated like 10 grand off that, that could be a 20K plus profit if you just do a double closer assignment. And basically, if you guys don't understand what this is, it's literally just a clause in your purchase agreement that allows you to market the property for sale before you own it. And then you simply just connect the dots at the end of the day and buy it and sell it on the same day. Now, there are certain areas that don't allow you to do this. I'm not going to go into that completely. You can do your research. But if you get the seller on board and say, hey, I can't give you that money right now, but if we do this strategy where I market this to other people out there and we find somebody that wants to pay that kind of money that's slightly higher than what I'm offering you, then we can do this deal. Okay. So suddenly, if you get that purchase agreement signed, you have the right to go market that anywhere and go find a buyer and make that profit margin between the dots. So that allows you to still profit off deals that are not, that don't have great return percentages. Now, obviously, I always want to do cash flips, like that's my goal. But lately, I've seen myself doing double closes more frequently. Now, people are probably going to ask, like, what's the difference between a double close and assignment? Really, like, it's about the same thing. Maybe if you have a buyer from a different deal, or maybe your realtor knows somebody who might be interested in this deal and you don't even want to list it, you can just assign it to them, and then you just take an assignment fee that you guys work out between each other. So typically I'll go the double close strategy instead of an assignment, but sometimes we'll find ourselves in a situation where there's already a buyer that the realtor knows, and we can just avoid listing it altogether and just assign it to them. Also, you can assign these deals maybe to other land investors. I'm not sure why they would want to do that. Maybe it was a subdivide or an entitlement opportunity. That's more rare to happen. But again, I just want to go over all these strategies. Now, I'm going to go over one that a lot of you don't really know about, but this is the seller finance flip strategy. So what you're going to do is, let's say you pitch a double close and they don't like it. They don't like the idea of you listing their land for sale while they still own it. You can just pitch seller finance. So let's say, again, that this deal, the land is worth $200,000 and seller wants $170 for it. And you think it's probably going to sell 200 or maybe a little more. there's profit margin, but it's not worth putting up that much cash to try to do this deal. It's just risky, in my opinion. Now, to reduce that risk, you can say, hey, Mr. Seller, different situation for you, and I think you're going to like this situation a little more. And what that entails is I'm going to pay you 10% down on that purchase price. So you're going to get $17,000 up front, and then I'm going to pay you over 5 years with 8% interest on that money. Now, if you put your money in a high yield savings account right now, one of the best savings accounts you can get, your money is going to get around 4.5%. Now, wouldn't you like to put that money to work already at a much higher interest rate than what you would get in just a savings account? So not only would you be cashing out on your investment, you would be reinvesting that even more. And let me tell you this, if I stop paying at any point, you keep all that money I already paid you, and you can just go resell that land again. So at the end of the day, they're going to end up with not only $170,000, they're going to end up with more interest on top of that. And you can tell them, keep in mind, I might pay this off within the year. I'll let you know. But if I pay it off in the year, you're going to end up with $170,000 plus that interest that was accrued. So if you don't need that money right now, we can go this strategy, and you're going to end up with even more. And a lot of people at the end of the day that we work out this situation with, they're very happy because they sold their land at the price they wanted, and they also accrued very high interest on it. So simply what you can do is you just adjust your seller finance agreement just to make sure that there's no prepayment penalty and that you can list the land for sale while you own it. So just do a simple deed of trust agreement, and then basically the title company can write this all out for you. Once you close, you pay through the title company, you put 10% down, and you just do monthly payments from there. And then you just list the land for sale, wait for somebody to bite on it, and then you just close all together. And then you just pay the interest that was owed on the 90% principal that was left. So I'm going to start going through some questions here. Ed asked, so when explaining double close or assignment to sellers, they often say, why don't I just get a realtor? What's the difference? How do you handle that?
Hey, Ed, how's it going? Go for it, Ryan.
You want to jump in at all?
No, you go for it.
Okay. So there's a couple ways you could go. One would be the realtor is going to take a commission, generally 10% of that, and then they're not going to work as hard as we are. Like basically the double close agreement is 3 months. So we have 3 months to get this done. And we're working as hard as we can to get that done as quickly as possible. Now a realtor, what they'll do is they'll rope you into a 12-month realtor contract, and they're just going to take their sweet loving time and work on all the other deals that they're doing because they have 12 months to do this. They have a ton of time, and they're going to take a commission off of it. So basically what you're signing with them is a guaranteed, almost guaranteed commission. Whereas with us, we have 3 months to get this done at this price, and we're working as hard as possible to get this done. Yeah. And then you can say at the end of it, if you're not happy at the end of this 3 months, then just go find a realtor and you can do it. Or we can extend and we can work more together. It's up to you. It's only 3 months. All right, guys, questions on these acquisition strategies. I kind of just hit them surface level, but I'm willing to go deeper if you have more questions. Just let me know. All right, Jesse. Well, let's go into some of our CRM strategy with follow-up and making sure these leads are not getting lost and making sure they're being worked on in, I guess, an optimized and streamlined strategy.
Yeah.
So, sorry, Jesse, go ahead and pull up that, share your screen, and then I'll just do a little context going into this. So my business, we're very text heavy. So a lot of our deals that we're doing nowadays we're primarily doing text marketing. So we're using launch control and offering prices to our sellers that respond to us inside launch control. When they accept that price, they'll go into our CRM, and it is very difficult nowadays to get a hold of people. So you're texting somebody on a phone number that's in launch control. They say yes. You have to push that to your CRM, call them up on another phone number that's inside Pebble, and try to get a hold of them. Now, to do that, that's very difficult. Like, there's a couple strategies that have helped us. The biggest problem nowadays is just getting them to pick up first, because you're calling from a different phone number. They're expecting a phone call from your launch control phone number, but you got to call them from your CRM phone number. So that's step one. The biggest strategy that helps us is the triple dial. So you're calling them 3 times in a row if they don't pick up. On the third one, just leave a voicemail, and then you try again. So if they don't pick up, you just wait like 10 seconds, dial again. If they don't pick it up again, you wait 10 seconds, dial again. A lot of people nowadays, they're on their phones on silent on your iPhone, especially me. Like, my phone's always on silent.
Yeah.
And I'm going to let certain notifications come through. So if a random caller goes through, it's just going to automatically decline it. But if you triple dial, it can get through. So that helps a lot. And it just informs people that it's more urgent. It's not just a scammer calling you. It's somebody that you actually talk to and is trying to get your attention. So that's one thing we'll do. And then we go through the reverse pyramid cadence. So what we'll do is 2 phone calls a day, like 1 in the morning, 1 in the evening, or 1 in the afternoon, for 2 days, I believe it is. And then after that, we do a week of daily phone calls, all at different times in the day. And then after that, it's like twice a week for 2 weeks or a month. I can't recall right now off the top of my head. I had this in my presentation last weekend. But Jesse's going to show you guys the ropes of how to build out these automations and how to make sure you're staying organized with these follow-ups. Because that's step one. If you can't figure this out, if you're not strategizing how to reach out to these people and finally get a hold of them, then you're messing up. There's a proven way to do it, and the way to do it is through organization. Yeah.
First of all, I want to say, Sumner, good to hear from you. It's good to see you on here. Hope you're doing well. So with everybody else here, Sumner, has been a minute. Next of all, should we answer some of these questions? I think we can sort of answer some of the questions and then tackle some of those. What do you think, Rylan? We've got questions here about how do you scale blind offers. We talked a little bit about that last week, and I guess I should ask you, how do you define scaling blind offers? And using a platform like Pebble is very easy to get your mailing out with the blind offer on there, and then also remail and then hit them off, with an increased offer and so on and so forth. So one of the great things about Pebble inside here is, you pulled all your data from Land Insights, and then, that's worth a lot. And you want to be able to follow up on every single property record, even if they are not a lead just yet. So that's really important to us inside of Pebble compared to any other CRM out there. We're tracking for the marketing that we're doing inside of Pebble. Whether or not they've gotten back to us, I still want to know how many times did I mail, this county or this specific area, this subdivision area, and how many more times do I need to follow up? And if I see I'm getting results in this specific little area, well, I'm going to continue to hit that area and, do what I can to obtain other lots that are very similar to the ones that I picked up. So, certainly doing that with Pebble is quite easy. I don't know if that answers your question, but if you have any further question, prospective properties, feel free to follow up with that. This might be a question for you, Rylan. How many texts till you get a deal? I don't know if you want to tackle that one there.
Let's see. Yesterday, we had. I'm going to pull live KPIs right now.
I'm going to just jump in to answer AJ Platt's question here. Have you tested launch control against smarter contacts? So, we've had friends who've used both. and they approach things a little differently. Just a little bit of a backside story. They kind of both come from the same place. I believe that launch control, just from speaking with them, I do work with both, or we do work with both. Launch control seems to be more attuned to the land industry, more so than Smarter Contact. Smarter Contact is very attuned with the single family home space and other spaces as well, not as in tune with land. So I think it almost comes down to the service that they provide. At the end of the day, I think they're doing something pretty similar. But anyways, I'll jump back to Scott's question. How many texts to a deal here at Ryland?
Yeah, so we're getting over the last 2 weeks, we're getting an average of 1 accepted offer per 5,000 texts.
There you go.
That's what we're getting right now.
Yeah. Great. Unsolicited texting is legal under the TCPA. How do you get around that? So I'm not going to pretend I know what I'm talking about here, but if you work and talk to the folks over at Launch Control, that's the way I would go about it. There are certain mechanisms that they go about with that, and we're also very careful about that within Pebble. Again, I won't get into that, Ross. Jesse will do 1 push-up line. I have the push-up bars here too. That's so funny that you mentioned that, Sumner. I'm getting as big as you soon. All right, double closing. I think we'll sort of you know what? We're gonna come back here. Let's talk about the platform, and then we can sort of answer some of these questions here afterwards. We'll let the questions pile up. Okay, I'm gonna share my screen here. Is it showing at all?
I don't see. Oh, actually, I think it is.
It was.
There it is. I see now.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, there's a few things I want to make sure you guys understand. We're not sending unsolicited text here. When we're talking about follow-up, we are following up with people who have already expressed communication with you. So you do. I do want to make that distinction. There's a few things you want to do. They're texting on one platform, and then they now need to follow up on Pebble, and with a different phone number. He's calling, triple dialing, doing what he can to make sure they understand that, hey, this is my other line, or this may be my personal line, or whatever it may be. That you want to get that communicated, and you probably want to do that right away. And so I'm going to sort of talk in the context of, you're going to be able you're pushing your leads into Pebble. Or your deals into Pebble, and then how do we follow up with them? So a couple foundational things, right? We've got an area called our inbox. This is where all communication can come into. I spend a lot of my time in my inbox here qualifying these. Are they an actual deal opportunity or not? If somebody said F you, well, I'm just going to close this out. If somebody does express interest here, I am going to move that into our deal board. And so we want to use our inbox as a way to make sure our deal board isn't flooded with all sorts of crap on here, because it's so easy to have all this, stuff that is not relevant for you. Maybe they're not even looking to do a deal with you. So it goes through as sort of a preliminary filter. It goes through our inbox. Then we will bring it onto the deal board. Now, if you're working with something like Launch Control, we'll get it onto here immediately, right? You can push that through right into your deal board. It's sent to CRM directly from within within Launch Control. I've got a video on that as well. So if you guys are interested, just head over to, I don't even know what the link is, but I'll get one of my team members to share that. It's in pebblei.com/mass texting or something like that. This is where we're going to do our follow-up. Right, you've got these stages, what we call stages, these vertical columns, as we're sort of moving them through the different stages to acquire the property. Now, if you're going through the Leo program, you're going to get their setup, what Sumner has suggested to have as his setup, and you're going to get that sort of replicated. Now, under each one of these stages, you can run a follow-up. And so to build a follow-up, I'm not going to suggest to you what is the best follow-up. There's just so much you can do. It's really dependent on that person. And someone like Ryland, he wants to triple dial immediately because he's texting. Great. So I want to make sure that I know to do that right away. So there's a few things we can do. First of all, we're going to create an action plan. All right. So we're going to go and hit add plan. On day 1, We want to do something maybe again on day 1 and then maybe day 2. I don't know. And you can build out as long of a sequence you need. And 9 a.m. We want to do this. Then at 10 a.m. so on and so forth. Okay. We can do a number of different things here. We can send an immediate, or we can send an email. We can send a text message. We can send I'll jump over mailing here. We can do a call reminder to remind you to call them, or we can do a direct mailing. Now, direct mailing is really powerful here. We can actually send out a piece of mailing on its own. This is typically for follow-up, right? These action plans are for follow-up. What Ryland is telling me is, hey, he wants to immediately to make sure he knows as soon as they come into the deal board, I got to call them. That's more of a task item than a follow-up at this point. You're already in communication with them. You just need to let them know about your phone number. A follow-up for me is somebody who has expressed interest and kind of like, I wouldn't say ghosted, but is less communicative about their property now. And this is where follow-up makes sense. I want to send them an email. I want to send them a text. I want to send them an mailing, or I want to remind myself in 6 months to call them. Maybe 6 days to call them later, right? That's what a follow-up would be. But if it's a task item, immediately comes in, that's a totally different thing, which I'll show you afterwards, okay? You can still do call reminders here as well. So when you do set up these follow-ups, you get notified. When you do set up these follow-ups, it will run on its own. It will stop as soon as that lead has contacted you back. Okay, if you've emailed them and they emailed you back, or if you texted them and they're texting you back, or if they called you back from the same number that you've called, you've got their phone number, we're going to pause that automation. Okay, so what do they say now? Like 14 touch points, 12 touch points, 16. The number keeps flipping. I've talked to so many people, and what they believe is the average number of follow-ups you need seems to keep changing. So let's just say, roughly 20 steps you want to build out here at least. Okay. And this really depends on your strategy. What was it? Did it start off with texting? Did it start off with mailing? You'll want to put that into consideration. And so certainly you can talk to ChatGPT to help you build out a sequence. Okay. I will let you know when you're building out your follow-up sequences, you have and can have custom information. The great thing is Pebble contains everything about the property and the seller within the platform, right? It's your sort of source of truth. So when I'm building out these messages, I'm going to just click one that exists already. I can say things like, hey, contact name, just checking in. Were you still selling your property in? We know the county that their property is in. So we'll use the placeholder here that is the county name. We've got a lot of different things here. Anything related to any information that you got from Land Insights can literally be embedded into a message. Now, I don't know, what it might be, but again, you have that flexibility. The more personalized, the better, right? Heck, even satellite images on the mailer, right? Hey, I'm still interested in this property you messaged me about. Are you still the owner? You want to send that out as a piece of mailer. You can do that, right? So we can pull everything about that property you paid for and you gotten from Land Insights. Now it sits inside of Pebble. You can send that out as part of your messaging, okay? Again, that is for any of these kind of messages, whether it's email, direct mailing, or text messages. Obviously, a call reminder is just to remind you to call. Okay, cool. So that's sort of the setup side of things. Once you've set that up, as long as you're on the deal board, anywhere you see a contact, you can enroll them on an auto follow-up. You see here with Kevin Rockwood, I can click quick enroll, and I can just quickly enroll him into a plan. Okay, and now he is enrolled. You can see that he's enrolled in one step, and it's already done here. I don't know what I enrolled him into. Now, there are going to be times when you're going to automatically, and you want to run them through an automation, you may, even though they're on the same stage, you may want to choose which plan you want them to enroll in. That's why we make this ability to hit quick enroll here. You can choose what you want them to be enrolled in. Now, you can even go as far as reviewing the plan and tweaking the message even further. Okay, so you can actually tweak the message further if you want specifically by hitting quick by hitting review plan. Okay. Jesse, can you send us a few follow-up templates? I don't have any here right now. I don't know if Leah, the Leah account has any set up, but I don't have any as of right now, Ricardo. Yeah.
We might have some.
Maybe you guys do, and I shouldn't say that you guys don't or do.
I mean, I've just like custom built mine over time. It's just
Yeah.
like a lot of ours is kind of taking the edge of, hey, I'm getting back to you. It's not, hey, I'm following up. It's more like they're the ones selling the land to us. They want to sell it to us. We're getting back to you.
Yeah.
That's kind of the edge we take. And we try to not make it seem too pushy. Like you can run ChatGPT scripts. It's like, okay, I'm messaging this guy a lot about selling his land. I want it to feel as less pushy as possible, and I want it to kind of steer me the right ways. Even though I'm texting him this many times, I want you to take the edge of going that way. And that's pretty much how all of ours were built. Was just ChatGPT with this script.
You know what? And that's there's nuances to follow up, and we made a really conscious decision to say, hey, you can't just enroll them automatically in, like, as soon as they come to a due diligence, we're not going to enroll them into a generic plan. You may have a level 1, level 2, level 3 of intensity of follow-up. And it depends how that conversation already went. And I believe in nuances. So I would use something like ChatGPT to start building out some of the messages and crafting it with that and bring it into Pebble, because the more nuanced you can be, the better. I hate it. It's the worst when your sellers or any of your leads notice, oh man, this sounds pretty templated, or that's not what that's not the tone of our conversation so far. Like, so what we've done is we've sort of added the step where you can quick enroll and actually choose, and you have sort of that control over the follow-up. Okay.
Yeah. And I know a lot of people who do these automated texts and emails. I personally don't do it. I'm very like, you can pick and choose what strategy you want. When I set up the automated procedures, all I do is reminders to manually follow up. And what we'll do is it's just a call reminder. It's like, okay, 8 a.m. today and then 3 p.m. today, I have a call reminder. But everybody on my team knows every time you call, you leave a voicemail, you leave a text, you leave an email if you have an email. Because with the amount of leads going through our CRM, that many tasks blown out of the park. Like, okay, it's one lead. They should just have one task that's associated with all that stuff. And what they'll do is they'll manually send the text, they'll manually send the email, but it's all templated already. They just pick from the template. Oh, okay, I'm doing this one this time. Read the conversation, make sure they didn't say anything weird, so that I don't send some generic weird text message. Like, make it feel genuine. So that's what I believe in. And basically my automations are just manual touch points. I'm a very manual touch oriented business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I say this a lot about as AI continues and automation continues to skyrocket, personal like touch and genuine communication is going to be higher and higher valued. And that's a great thing for us. Like, the effort that we're going to put in, we're going to reap a much bigger return than even now, just because people's BS radars and authenticity radars are going to be skyrocketing these next couple of years. So keep that in mind. Is that Sumner there?
Yeah, we got a guest speaker.
What's up, guys?
No way.
What's up, Jesse? Good to see you, man.
Are you both? Where are you both right now?
We're in Arizona at the office.
I thought you were in Bali.
Yeah, no, I'm back. We hosted an event, and then we're going to that Colorado event. Same one from last year.
Hey, it's good to see you. I keep imagining you're out in like your total opposite time zone. And anyways, good to see you.
Dude, I was so jet lagged, and like literally one day later, we hosted our event. But are you coming out to the Colorado event?
I probably won't be. I've got a bunch of stuff happening, but you guys have fun up there. And I'm too scared with the supercars we did last time. So
dude, the supercars are no more.
That's right.
Yeah. But I don't know if you saw, I put in the chat, every video this video gets, you have to do a push-up on camera.
I did see.
Good seeing you, man.
Oh man, I can see you. All right. M says here, I'm sure it depends on the market, but in general, when do you follow up with that second direct mail piece to the same owner parcel if there was no response from the first direct mailing? Every 3 months, 6 months, etc. In terms of remailing, that's really interesting. I think you've answered your question. I mean, I would do it within a few months. That's just me. But if it's a huge list, then maybe 6 months would make sense. So that's going to be dependent also on budget as well. Mailing is quite expensive, so something to keep in mind. Remailing is quite easy to do so inside of Pebble here. And if you want to spit it out to remail with another mail service, you can do so. Again, we're tracking for the marketing, the initial outreach marketing as well.
Yeah, I'll go from my experience. Like, if you really love a market,
Yeah,
it's not crazy for you to mail it monthly. Like,
yeah,
if you really love this market, I'll give you a case study. There was this subdivision, and so like I think it was northern Idaho. In the subdivision, it was just a bunch of these acre parcels. But these acre parcels, they overlooked this crazy mountain range. And I was just posting these on Facebook. I bought one for like $3,000. I was posting on Facebook and I sold it for $30,000 within a week. And so I was like, shoot, like I just hit a crazy gold mine. There's I think there was like 40 properties in the subdivision.
yeah.
It was between like 30 and 50. So, and maybe a quarter of them were developed on.
Yeah.
So I hit this crazy opportunity, and I was just sending letter after letter after letter for every month for 6 months. And I bought probably like 9 to 10 of those properties. And each mailer, I would get a new lead come through. Like everyone was looking at it. So it's just a timing thing. So if you really believe in a market, then I mean, remailing it frequently is like, it's not too crazy. Yeah. Now, markets that you're still kind of testing, quarterly is fine, or maybe just twice a year.
Yeah.
But if there's just a crazy subdivision you found, you can hit that over and over and over.
Yeah, especially if it's so hyper targeted like that. We hear the same thing all the time like that. We know a subdivision, we're going to hit that nonstop. And like, not even just mailing. You may want to, if it's a small list, cold call everyone as well. So yeah, I would. I mean, they're probably getting mailers anyways. So
yeah.
All right. The Sam one, if they respond through automation, yes, the automation does stop. So as soon as that comes in, it will pause. You don't need to pause that as soon as the communication comes in. So that'll get automatic pause. You'll know it got paused as well. Yeah. Okay. So we talked a little bit about follow up there and how we sort of enroll. And in the case of Ryland, like maybe you're not following up. You just want to make sure it's a task item that you immediately triple dial them. I mean, as soon as it comes into that lead in stage or seller inquiry stage, whatever your first stage is called, you can build out a task list that says, I don't know what it might be. It's like a checklist of items that you have to do, call them. Instead of road access here, let's just say it's call them 3 times or whatever it is, or finally reach them through a phone or do the phone procedure, whatever you guys, whatever lingo you have in your team, you can set that up as an automated task list. So to set that up, you just need to create a task list. Okay, let's just say to do immediately. I don't know why you would call that, but let's just let's create a task list here. Add task list. Let's just call it Blend Insights task list. Okay, I'm going to add a blank task list here. And then my first task item would be reach them by phone, whatever it is. It needs to get done by today's the 10th, so tomorrow. And so I can save this as a template. I can build out as many task lists. I could save this as a template, and I'll get a chance to name it. I can rename the task itself, and then it'll count down how many days that you've set it for since the day that you set it up, and you can even assign it to somebody and hit save. So I've saved this as a template, this land insight task list. I can now say under seller inquiry here, under this stage, I can set up an automation where whenever a deal arrives here from launch control, as soon as it comes in, I want this task list to be assigned. I'm going to add the task list, which is the land insight task list, hit save. So moving forward, anything that comes in here, my team member will get notified. He's got to do this, and he knows he's in charge of this stage here all the time. I got to triple dial them. I got to then leave a voicemail, and then I got to text them. Whatever the routine is, he's got to do that immediately. All right. So these kind of things are really important to keep consistency. This kind of consistency builds repeatability in your business, and then this allows you to actually build a business to scale. Okay.
Right. And guys, this all becomes very, very important, especially when you just bring on one employee. A lead comes into your CRM. A lot of these are automated. Maybe you have Pat Live set up. Maybe you have Launch Control set up. It just gets pushed in here. You need to make sure it's assigned correctly at the right date with the right sequence following that. If something's broken, these are going to slip through the cracks. And one of these deals could be, $100,000 deals. So if you're consistently missing these, it's really bad. And just you should feel urgency to be building out these systems because they help you grow, and you can't grow without systems in place.
Yeah. Awesome. I think that sort of touches upon, again, your follow-ups, and then your task list item here. If you want to learn how to, create a mailer follow-up or an actual mailer template, you'll go to templates here. You'll actually create the mailer itself. And then under your follow-up plan, when I showed you you're building out the sequence, you would just choose that letter to send out. Okay. But again, this isn't cold outreach. This follow-up is not cold outreach. All right. So you're not sending mailers this way through auto follow-up if it's a completely brand new property that you're reaching out to. You're going to do that through the campaigns. This is strictly for follow-ups.
Perfect.
Cool.
All right, Jesse. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go over dispo strategies that are helping us right now.
Yeah.
So just like an acquisition, I guess, process, like Jesse kind of had a Kanban board where it went from this process to this, to this, to this. That's how our business works as well on the dispo end. So we have dozens of properties listed for sale right now, and we wouldn't be able to pull that off unless we had these systems in place. So I'm going to go over how we connect Land Insights with Pebble in order to get accurate realtor outreach, and then and how to stay organized with our deals. So when a purchase agreement gets signed, you can immediately enter it into a Pebble sequence that you custom create. You can create a stage that says, hey, this purchase agreement was signed. Okay. Now there's tons of steps after that a lot of you guys aren't organized on. And what we do is we break it up into a process. So there's two different processes. There's a cash close process, and then there's a double close process for flipping. So your cash close is going to be, okay, this guy just signed this purchase agreement. Now I'm going to pull the deeds from the county recorders, make sure this guy's the right owner. So it's just verification of the owner based on those deeds. Verify the acreage is the same. And then usually what we'll do is the next part of our process is realtor outreach. So we're just reaching out to realtors, making sure we're buying this at a good value. We comped it with Land Insights. We're pretty accurate on the valuation. We're pretty confident that we're in the ballpark. We're getting a good deal, but obviously we always want to talk to a local before we buy this. So we'll talk to at least 2 different realtors, get their opinion. If that checks out, we'll push it to title. And at each point of this process, we're literally just pushing it along this Kanban board to make sure it's following that process. So we don't overdo anything. We don't do anything twice, and make sure it gets to the closing table as quickly as possible. Double close is a little different and a little more realtor opinion intensive. Sometimes I'll close on a cash deal if it's 100% margin without a realtor opinion if I'm confident on it. But double closes, we have to get a realtor opinion, and we also have to get a double close realtor. So what I'm going to show you is the Land Insights realtor database, and then I'm going to show you a strategy to reach out to as many realtors as possible in a quickly and organized fashion. So I'm going to share my screen. Okay, so when you simply go into the Realtor Report section of Land Insights, you can create a new county realtor report. We could just put in a random county. Let's do Hunt County, Texas. And it says, okay, there's 803 realtors out here. They've sold 1,305 land properties. All right, so we can unlock that report. And quickly, it's going to show us double close agents. So these are agents that we've been in communication with, Land Insights has been in communication with, and they've agreed that they will list a double close. So one of your guys' questions is like, hey, if I get a 3-month double close agreement with a seller and I have 3 months to sell this, who is going to list this? How is a realtor possibly going to accept this listing? But there are some out there that are willing to take the bet and list this for 3 months without a guaranteed commission. You know, they're just willing to throw it out there, see if there's a buyer. If it works out, it works out. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And we have 2 in this county that we've reached out to, and they're familiar with the strategy and willing to do it. And we can simply just click unlock, and then it'll connect us. It'll connect the dots for us. It'll loop us in an email with them, and then we can just send them the deal details. And so basically you can click that if you want to find a double close agent. If you want to find the best agent in the county, you can sort based on the sold and active comps that they have. So Kathy Hobbs, she has sold 20 land properties in the last year, and then she has 16 listings on the market in this county right now. This is her phone number, but we can sort this. One sec. My computer keeps reading. Okay, so we can sort this. This is descending order. Oh, that computer's a little slow right now from the streaming. Need to get a new one. Okay, so Thomas Banks, he sold 30 in the last year. 5 are active right now. This guy's selling everything he's getting on the market. So I would reach out to this guy and get his opinion of value, because he's seeing a lot of different properties come through. He's getting a lot of offers. He's connected with a lot of people. So this guy probably knows the value of the land. So we'll reach out to that guy. His phone number is right there. We can click on his name, and it'll also search him up and his brokerage. We can go find his email in here. So what we would do is, we know that this guy, it's unlikely he answers the phone the first time around. So to hedge against that, we're just going to copy like maybe the top 10 people and then put it into a Pebble card. So we'll copy all their information, put it in a Pebble card, call it Hunt County Agents, and just reach out to them all at once, right? And just say, hey, I have a listing under contract. I'm a land flipper. I'm looking to buy this and resell it. Would you be interested in doing this deal? If they call you back, you go through the numbers, make sure you're getting it at a good value, see if they're open to listing it after you buy it, and then boom, you have your realtor. And then if these double close agents exist and you want to do a double close, go ahead and reach out to these people and see if they're willing to list it. But what we do in our business at that stage of realtor outreach is we're not just going to call these one by one. We're sending a max text chain to all of these guys to see if they have any interest in listing our land flip. And then if they reach out, then we'll call them. So that's how we do it at scale. That's a very easy way to get a hold of everybody. Any questions there? Let's see. By Pebble card, you mean Pebble campaign for agents? Yes. Is the realtor report updated with agents that's active? So it's tracking all of the land sales in the last year in that specific county. So there might be a chance that maybe a guy quit, but that's very odd. That's a very low likelihood, but it's just tracking the last year, all the comps. So Jesse, how would you add all these into? Can you give a tutorial on how to just do a little campaign towards a list?
So we're adding a list of contacts. Is that right?
Right.
Into Pebble. Trying to think here. We don't have a bulk import for contacts, but what I would do.
You can add each contact one by one. Yeah. So you add like Thomas Banks agent phone number, tag them as a Hunt County, Texas realtor, and then you just send text to all those guys. Just filter.
Yeah, that's probably the best, is to add them one at a time.
Mm-hmm.
How are you contacted by email? Do you want to take that one?
How are you contacted by email? I'll usually do text, but I'll also send emails if we have their emails. But phone numbers are just readily available here. We'll just shoot a text. If they're not texting back, they're probably going to be a bad realtor. You know, if we have their point of contact, if we pulled that and they're not responding, I don't want to work with them. I don't want to have to go through another hoop to reach out to them. Mm-hmm. They call you back from that phone number you texted them or you called them, then they're going to be a good realtor at the end of the day, because you want somebody who's communicative, somebody who's responding on time, getting back to you very quickly.
Since it is not under contract yet, will you disclose the address to the realtors?
Oh, we're only reaching out if it's under contract.
Yeah.
This is post signed purchase agreement strategy.
Yep.
Okay. And yes, we'll just text them from Pebble.
Yeah. I mean, you're not mass texting them, so that's fine. You're not running them through an automation or anything like that. Yeah.
Exactly. It's all manual touch.
Yeah.
This is public phone numbers.
Yeah. I had somebody on my podcast yesterday. He texts only 50 a day and then gets and he does them one at a time because he doesn't want to use any service, so he doesn't get into trouble. But he gets a tremendous response rate through that. Now, I'm not saying this is the way you're supposed to do it. I'm just saying it works. People swear by manual texting. I'm just saying that. I'm not saying that's the strategy fault, but this guy gets like a 20% response rate. So it's pretty incredible.
Yeah. That's
yeah.
All right. So let me go through one last part of the strategy. So obviously we're going through this Kanban board. We've got all these steps in place. We finally close on the property. Let's say, the deed looked good. It's the right owner. Realtor says it's a really good deal. They're going to list it. Let's say we just do a cash close it through title, finally ready to list it. What we're going to do is, again, we'll go back to our realtors that gave us good opinions, and we're just going to list it with the realtor. I don't do anything special. I don't self-list. That's not possible for me to do that at that scale. I mean, it is possible, but it's just not worth my time. I'd rather invest all of my time into getting more deals. And from my opinion of listing with realtors only, they sell at just about the same amount of money you'll save from self-listing, because they're locals. They have their local pocket listing buyers. They have their connections. They have different agents they work with. So they're usually able to yield the highest value you can get. If you're just self-listing with the MLS broker and you're taking in all the leads, you're wasting time on that, and you're not communicating with all the people that all these other realtors would be communicating with. So I prefer working with a listing agent. I've been doing this for, I think, probably 3 years now since I've done a self-listing. So I really recommend just working with a realtor and spending your time on acquisitions. You should be spending your time on Dispo. Now, the only time you should be spending on Dispo is making sure your listing photos look good. Somebody brought this up last week, and he thinks there's an algorithm based on listing photos and performance. He thinks there's an algorithm just like Instagram or Facebook would have.
Yeah.
So you want to make sure your realtors, they have a drone, or at least they're taking really good photos. But what I like to do is, if a realtor has a drone and maybe they don't have good editing software, we can import a photo to our listing photo editor, and we can just draw up the lot line. So I'm just going to pull a random deal that this guy has. Let's just go to Redfin and pull a random deal.
Rylan, while you're doing that, are you just emailing the information over to the listing agent, or like how do you usually package everything up?
All the information on the deal,
or the property itself. Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll send them like basically all the information from our property card and land insights, and then it also exists in Pebble if you imported that into Pebble.
Yeah.
So like, okay, parcel number, address if there is an address. This is
Yeah.
the acreage. This is what we think it's worth. These are the comparables we thought it was worth based on just generic information. They'll be able to identify it. If they need help, then they can call and we'll help out.
And so can you send them a link to Land Insight so they can have a look at the property too? Or just the information itself?
I'm not sure. I think we can. I'm pretty sure we can send them the company report. If that hasn't been released yet, it is getting released.
Yeah, okay. I was just gonna say, like, that information, as long as it sits in Pebble from Land Insights, like as soon as you drag it into a stage, you can fire off all this stuff, including the images you're about to pull here and create inside of Land Insights. So there's a couple ways you could do it. Again, drag it into a stage and it'll automatically send that Slack message or email or, you know, however you'd like. But
yeah. All right, so let's say the drone photographer or the realtor is like, okay, I'm going to list this. I'm like, no, don't list that. We don't even know where the property is. We don't know where the lines are. You can kind of guess based on the fence, but I'm going to take it further. Okay, so I just saved that screenshot. And then I'm going to pull it in here. All right, so we can adjust the saturation. We can just make it look pretty. This kind of looks like a dead listing. Let's make it a little brighter. Let's up the exposure, right? Again, you can do a ton of different things with the lighting and everything. And then my favorite part is the lot lines. So we can draw lot lines around the property. And now people can instantly see this pop. And we can adjust the color of these and the thickness. So we can make it a little wider. We can put like yellow if we wanted to, and people can really see that it pops. And then you can do crazy stuff where you adjust the contrast on the edges and then make the property actually be like all saturated in color. So we can make this all gray if we wanted to, if we just overlay a box around this. And then it's just making it look really pretty. But we went from this all the way to this instantly. Algorithm's going to like that a lot more than this. Everyone's going to view this over this. It pops better, and you can see where the property lines lie.
Yeah.
You can have all these like text boxes over it. You can say like, oh, 50 acres, whatever. I'd have to adjust the font color and all that, but we have tutorials on Land Insights how to do that. But that's another process we do get involved with. If the realtor sends us horrible photos, we're like, okay, someone on our team will just go edit those and just resend it back to them. And then boom, we're good. Beautiful listing. Realtor has it from there. And then when we get an offer, we hear about it, accept it, close it, done. So yeah, I'll leave it open to any questions. Jesse, do you have to run early, or you got time for like a couple minutes?
No, I'll stick around for a couple minutes.
Perfect. Cheryl asks, are you saying to the brokers it's a flip? What language are you using? So to the brokers, we just say we're land investors and that we're flipping the land. If we're reaching out to them, we already have a purchase agreement signed. They're not going to go out from under us. It's very, very rare for that ever to happen. It has happened, but I'm not worried about it. At the end of the day, we need them to work with us, and we're just going to disclose our situation. We're land flippers. We're buying this property. We have it under a contract, and we plan on reselling it. What do you think it's worth? Would you be interested in listing it for us? Now, with double close agents, you have to be even more open about what's going on, because you need to have certain verbiage in all your agreements, stuff like that. I'm not going to go into it, but they need to know what's going on. If they have no idea what's going on, you're going to get yourself into some trouble. So make sure your realtors are on board with what's going on. Don't try to cut any corners with them. Make sure they're in the loop. Jesse, you see any other questions that I missed?
No, that's most of the questions here, I think.
All right. Well, I'll leave it off there. I think next week is our final webinar, and it's just general Q&A. So if you guys had any questions that came up in regard to Pebble CRM or Land Insights, bring those to that call, and we're happy to help. And even if it's not related to that at all, it's just land related, I'm happy to help with any of those questions.
Thanks everybody for hanging out here. It's always great to see the interactions like picking up more and more every week. So great to see everybody here.
Great seeing you all. Appreciate it, Jesse. And see you
Thanks,
next
Ron.
week.
All right. Bye, guys.
Later.